everyone, myself Dr. Radhika Markar, Associate Professor at Department of Biotechnology Engineering, KIT's College of Engineering, Kolhapur. I welcome you all for our today's session, Scope of Biotechnology Engineering and its Future by very well-known scientist Padmashri Professor G.D. Yadav, former Vice Chancellor of Institute of Chemical Technology, Mumbai. But before going further, I would like to request our HOD, Dr. Pallavi Patil, to brief about this department.
Hello everyone, I Dr. Pallavi Patil, Head Department of Biotechnology Engineering, would like to introduce you all to the Department of Biotechnology. The dynamic management of KIT's College of Engineering, Kolhapur took an early note of the significant role that was to be played by biotechnology engineers in future industrial development of biotechnology related processes and products by establishing Department of Biotechnology Engineering in 2002 with approval from DT and IISc. It has a unique place in the development of biotechnology engineering discipline in Maharashtra. I am delighted to say that KIT is the first college of engineering in Maharashtra to have biotechnology engineering department. Since then, we have good laboratory standards. Also do we have good staff for teaching. Well, we have now moved to autonomous state that has yielded extremely good results with respect to internship, training, placement in the field of biotechnology engineering. We have BTech honors in biosimilar technology, which is given to meritorious students by earning extra credits. We also have MTech course in biochemical engineering and biotechnology with the intake of 6 with good internship and placement for the students. We send our students for internship, training and placement in industries naming Biocon, Reliance Life Sciences, Serum, Syngene, Lupin and many more. Also, students get in the field of bioinformatics, clinical research and clinical data management. Not restricted to biopharma industries and the mentioned sectors, but our students go abroad for their future studies. 700 plus students have passed out from our department till date who are working in India and abroad. I would like to mention here that the students will get admitted to BTech Biotechnology course on the basis of PCM scope. This is just a brief introduction about the Department of Biotechnology Engineering at KIT's College of Engineering, Kolhapur. Thank you one and all.
Thank you so much, madam, for this brief introduction. So, talking about our today's honorary guest, Padmashri Professor G.D. Yadav is one of the topmost highly prolific and accomplished engineering scientists in India. He is internationally recognized by many prestigious and rare awards as an academician, researcher and innovator, including his seminal contribution to education, research and innovation in green chemistry and engineering, catalysis, chemical engineering, energy engineering, biotechnology, nanotechnology and development of clean and green technologies. For more than a decade, he served as the founding Vice Chancellor and R.T. Mody Distinguished Professor and Tata Chemicals Darbari said Distinguished Professor of Leadership and Innovation at the Institute of Chemical Technology, Mumbai, which is deemed to be a university having allied status and center of excellence given by State Assembly on par with IITs, IISc, IISERs. He currently holds the title of Emeritus Professor of Eminence and Bose National Fellow in ICT. He was conferred Padma Shri, the fourth highest civilian award by the President of India in 2016 for his outstanding contribution to science and engineering. In the recent November 2020 survey by Stanford University, where Indian scientists in top 2% of those in the world are honored, Professor Yadav is number 1 in India in physical chemistry, which is within 0.2% of the world's scientists, and it is ranked 66, which is very remarkable. His research productivity is phenomenal, with supervision of 110 doctoral and more than 125 master's theses, which is the first record in ICT and for any engineering professor in India. Besides, he has supervised 43 postdoctoral fellows, several summer fellows and research staff. He has published numerous research papers, national and international papers, patents along with book chapters. He has been a member or chaired several national and international committees of MHRD, BST, AICTE, UGC, CSIR and so on. He serves as independent director on 5 renowned limited companies, for example Aarti Industries Limited, Godrej Industries Limited, Make Money Organics Limited, etc. He is also a member of Apex Council of Indian Oil R&D, Expert Advisory Committee, ONGC Energy Center, Glaxon Indian Advisory Board on Process Safety and the Governing Council DBT Indian Oil Energy Center and the member of the DBT PAN IIT Center for Bioenergy. His contribution to scientific community is endless and there will be a shortfall of words to describe his achievements. We are highly delighted for having such esteemed personality for our today's session. With this brief introduction of our today's guest, I would like to request now Padmashri Professor G.D. Yadav to start with his session.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to give you a perspective of biotechnology and the future. I personally believe that biotechnology is intimately related for our journey towards peace, prosperity, which will ultimately result into societal benefit. So why biotechnology as a site of study? Because there are many students who would like to know what biotechnology does. For that matter, the parents and relatives are always concerned about the choice of study for their wards. Biotechnology utilizes living cells and cellular materials to create pharmaceutical, diagnostic, agricultural, environmental, food, flavors, materials, and other products to benefit the society. It is also used to study and to alter genetic information in animals so that human diseases can be modeled and studied. In a continuation of this, biotechnology is one of the most advanced, progressive, fruitful, and evolving branches of science and technology. This branch deals in physics, chemistry, biology, engineering, and mathematics. These concepts are combined together to develop technologies for the benefit of human life. Particularly students after 10+2 can begin their journey in biotechnology, and later on, you can opt undergraduate, postgraduate, and PhD studies, including various diploma courses. And there are a plethora of advantages for students pursuing biotechnology as their career because this field still has an enormous area to develop and expand, and you could add to that. Science is growing at a great speed in order to develop technologies that are beneficial for the human race. So opting biotechnology as a career is one of the best decisions you can take for your future, as you would have a mountain full of opportunities to work in various leading industries, including medical, manufacturing, agriculture, pharmaceutical, industrial products, so on and so forth. Since I said biotechnology is the science of the future, these are the major areas, but we cannot limit them just to this: food and agriculture, medicine and healthcare, industrial biotechnology, environmental biotechnology, and materials. So look at the major applications of biotechnology. I already mentioned some of these before, but animal breeding and agriculture, very important area. Environmental and energy management, improvement in food technology, fermentation technology, proteomics and genomics, plant agriculture and crop improvement, recombinant DNA technology, healthcare and pharmaceuticals, and medical diagnostics. These are generally associated with biotechnology, and onto that, you add bioinformatics, which is a buzzword these days. So you must have basic knowledge, the knowledge of basic sciences, including mathematics, and also computers, so biotechnology. Some of the practical applications which are normally talked about, For example, I mentioned before, better crops. Can we develop better crop variety? Because the tillable land is decreasing day by day. And so we need more produce from the same acreage. At the same time, we want improve animal health. Then in the field of medical and healthcare applications, there are many new tests, vaccines and medicines, and we have realized the importance of vaccines because of this corona pandemic. Chemical and environmental applications are plenty. For instance, better manufacturing processes and consumer products. And in the field of medical and healthcare applications, like I mentioned before, new diagnostic tests, for example, the quick test for strep throat, and many new treatments for diseases and conditions which we have not been able to treat so far. For example, diabetes, stroke, anemia, cystic fibrosis, hemophilia, leukemia, and other types of cancers, hepatitis, rheumatoid arthritis, growth deficiencies, transplant rejections. This field is growing at a very fast pace. And why so? And because of all these advantages, the global market for biotechnology is increasing at a very rapid stage. This so-called CAGR, compounded aggregate growth rate, for next 8 years will be something like 9.6%. And the bioinformatics segment is going to add to that. Then the tissue engineering and regeneration segment will have more than $94 billion value. And fermentation segment will be $57 billion value. In the case of US, that CAGR is something like 9.2%. And in Europe, Germany dominates the European market. Last year, they had something like $33 billion market. So in 2020, the market was 497 billion, the global market, and the CAGR will be something like 9.4%. And in 2027, this will be $950 billion market. So what it means, since there is a huge market, this particular area is going to grow. Okay. Another issue which is related is because of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17 of these goals, and many of these goals are related to biotechnology. For example, if you have the microbial-driven ecosystem, I won't go into the details of this slide, but what is that? What are the deliverables? Like food security, and one of the goals in sustainable development is there should not be any hunger, zero hunger. There should not be any poverty by 2030. Environmental sustainability, climate change mitigation. We are talking these days a lot about, net zero economy. Then human health, the industrial growth, water security, the industry, infrastructure, and innovation. These are very, very important areas. So biotechnology is hugely connected with this UN SDG. And at the same time, because the environment is polluted, many bioremediation technologies must be viewed from the context of sustainability. So, for example, the generation of biomass for energy, like biogas, biodiesel, or making use of renewable resources, including wind and solar energy, or geothermal for that matter. And then we are talking about sustainable bioremediation, like natural attenuation, biostimulation, composting, bioaugmentation, phytoremediation, integrated approach, all those things are part of this sustainable bioremediation. Now, what interesting part I must tell you is that in the past we used resources and in ration of those provided of one earth. Okay, so one earth was what? Currently we use more than 1.5 earths in land and resources per year. And if you go along with this, we will require 2 earths per year by 2035. So what should be our choice? Our choice should be coming back to 1 earth, because that is the only source we have. So we have already crossed some of the boundaries and ventured beyond the zones of uncertainty. So how biotechnology will help in this, and I'm going to talk about the so-called circular bioeconomy of well-being. Okay. So as a society, we have many things to do. Like we can have recycle, reduce, reuse. Like this is with reference to food. Like for example, we make sustainable biofuels, or you have biomass, bioprocessing, so-called biorefinery. So you may produce chemicals, materials, bioenergy, right? In all these things, we must have efficient processes. We must have economically valuable and affordable technologies. And you can see that that also is true for textiles, pharmaceuticals, construction, packaging, all that thing. And these days, in this whole gamut, we are also including cultural services, renewable natural cover. So remember all these things part, the renewable energy and the ecological boundaries. You see, this whole thing becomes the part of circular bioeconomy. So circular bioeconomy is more than the bioeconomy. What is the meaning? So we have biodiversity, we have ecosystem functions, where renewable natural capital, then we divide it, we provide services, we provide regulating services, and we have cultural services, which was mentioned in the previous slide. So what is there? So we have biomass. From biomass, we can go to chemicals and materials. We can have bioenergy, biofuels, and food versus feed. This debate is always there. In the regulating, we have to look at the climate regulation, flood control, water supply. This is regulation. And in the cultural services, we have to look at aesthetics. Many times we talk about spiritual, educational, recreational, all these things are there. And when you go for this, so when you have bioproducts for construction, packaging, textile, which was mentioned in the previous slide, we cascade all these things. We have composting, recycling, remanufacturing, and then we go to market and non-market values and prosperity and well-being. So this is all related to the societal benefit. That is the one which I had said in the beginning, the title. So these are the sustainable management for multiple ecosystems. So how does biotechnology become part of this to the circular economy? So we have renewable feedstock. We will have new materials to reduce waste. We will have better design. We have compostability, recycle, or reuse, and at the end of the life, right? So we know that photosynthesis is one of the best things which is happening. So this renewable feedstock, so you have sun and carbon dioxide per atmosphere, so you can have renewable monomers, chemicals, then you can create a lot of materials from this, and the consumer products, then you generate this. So the waste has to be biodegradable, then you have the recycle. So this becomes net zero, right? This is the so-called net zero concept, which nations of the world are talking about. So what it means, biotechnology has a lot of advantages. So, the career opportunities, the food and agricultural sector, medicine and healthcare, industrial biotechnology, environmental biotechnology, all these things I mentioned. And look at the percent share of these biotechnology segments. Look, the biopharmaceutical is 62%. So tomorrow's pharmaceutical industry is not just going to be just bio. There will be chemo bio combination. So processes will be with chemical as well as enzymatic or biological. You look at the bioagriculture, about 16%. Then you have the so-called bioindustrial, 7%, and the bioservices will be 15%. This was the case in 2020. And that time, the government of India is to talk about destination India. And why? Because in India, this industry is growing. Look at the Indian biosector in terms of the US $1 million. See, the bio industry is about 4%, 19.19 US $1 million. Bioagri 300, 12%. Biopharma, once again, this is the largest, 82%. And bioinformatics is about 2%, which is something like 46.65 US $1 million. And that time the government of India claimed, and this is the title I've chosen from them, they said we are third largest biotech destination in Asia, 3rd% share in the global biotechnology industry, number 1 in supply of all these vaccines and whatnot. So India is number 1 producer, perhaps you know this. And the BT cotton also, India is number 1 producer. producer number one in the recombinant hepatitis B vaccine. More than 100 biotechnology incubations have been there. And this is the second largest, highest number of US approved manufacturing of plants outside the US. And there are more than 2,500 startups. So if you choose biotechnology as a career, you can have your own startup. So why just go and serve somewhere? Why not become industrialist or entrepreneur? Okay. So the biotechnology market in India, this is India. So this was predicted to be about 7%. So by 2026, what it means that the biotechnology market is going to grow. And some of these companies and some of these, states like Maharashtra, Karnataka, okay, Telangana, UP and others, Tamil Nadu, these are the places where high number of biotechnology, sources are there. And you see the biocon industry, C6 Energy, Bharat Biotech, Bharat Biotech was also produced, supported by DST. So look at the biotechnology startups. And if you look at the global biotechnology industry by 2025, all these areas, so it is continuously growing. So there is no shrinking. And particularly Asia Pacific is expected to gain market share during this forecasted period, okay, because of the patient awareness, rapidly improving healthcare infrastructure and rising healthcare expenditure, okay. So biotechnology, once again, healthcare is the one which is going to give us a lot of advantages. And look at the number of new drugs which are approved. In this, the biopharmaceutical, the maximum number of drugs, this is more than 30%. In certain cases, it has grown up. You see here, it is more than 50%, right? In 2017, even 2018. So biotechnology-based new drugs will be increasing, and this was the case in Germany. And look at the startup. There was something like 4,351 startups of emerging companies which were analyzed. So, but biotechnology cannot sustain unless the contribution of chemistry is considered. So, what is the charm of chemistry? The attributes that perhaps most distinguishes chemistry from the rest of the sciences is the ability of chemists to control the structure of matter at the molecular level, from complex natural products like vancomycin to nanoparticles to whole genome. So now you realize the relationship of biotechnology and chemistry. So what is happening? In the case of the genomic research, the boundaries of biology, chemistry, and engineering are disappearing. Some of our best students from ICT, for example, they are leading contributors to this area of biotechnology. And in all these, nature is our guide. Nature teaches us how to do things. Like, for example, nature has developed both templated and non-templated biosynthetic machinery, including the ribosome, DNA, and RNA polymerases, polyketide and peptide synthesis, and metabolic enzymes to make complex molecules with diverse functions. So functionality, and that is the one which we do in chemistry. You bring in new functionality. So where biotechnology will help us. And in nature's chemical factories, the living organisms carry out a remarkable array of complex functions using natural molecules and molecular assemblies, ranging from antibiotics and enzymes to ribosome and photosynthetic synthesis. Right? So we know that. So biotechnology means what? You must know cell and molecular biology, microbiology, genetics, anatomy and physiology, biochemistry, chemical engineering. Many principles have roots in chemical engineering, computer science. So some of you might have, had the ambition of becoming medical doctors and would have been disappointed that you did not get admission. But remember, the medical doctors also have to go to this biotechnology because many things related to physiology and anatomy have roots in biotechnology. And many Nobel laureates have won Nobel Prizes because of this. So biotechnology cannot be brushed aside, okay? So there are four major areas One is called the red biotechnology, another is the green biotechnology, the white biotechnology, and the blue biotechnology. Blue biotechnology related to the marines. Industrial biotechnology is also called white biotechnology. Okay, and agricultural biotechnology, green biotechnology, and the medical biotechnology, the red biotechnology. So these are the major areas where a lot of research is being done. New types of materials and products are being developed. And so in the case of medicines and therapies, biotechnology will play a major role in curing the currently untreatable diseases. That is what I wanted to emphasize. So there are many new horizons. Okay, some of them, like reading the genes or gene therapy. So mending the genes, this is going to come from biotechnology. Okay, so I mean medical biotechnology, the fusion of genetics, cell biology, and many other sciences will lead to further advancements of medicines, and that is very, very important. So biotechnology medicines and therapies which use proteins, enzymes, antibodies, and other substances naturally produced in the human body to treat diseases, including genetic disorders. So biotechnology will also use other living organisms, plant and animal cells, bacteria, viruses, and yeast in the large-scale production of medicines for human use. Remember that. So medical biotechnology, including the stem cell therapy, gene therapy, diagnostic, DNA fingerprinting, antibody therapy, recombinant pharmaceuticals, all these are part of biotechnology. Remember what scope exists for doing innovation in the area. So of course, as I mentioned before, vaccines and diagnostics. So let us look at this. So antibiotics is very important area where biotechnology will play important. Then vaccines, we know because of the coronavirus, we are looked at. So in the case of medical biotechnology, particularly related to public health, diagnostics, biopharmaceuticals, and treatment, this is going to play a very important role. So for example, when we have a genetic modification or a biopharmaceutical being, so you take a gene of interest from somewhere and then you modify this, okay, and you may get a biotechnology, a biopharmaceutical, or a nutraceutical, or a cosmeceutical, or agriculture. So this is also very, very interesting. So there is a lot of science involved in this, as well as engineering and technology. And since people are very interested in computers and data analytics, and these are the buzzwords which are used these days, right? So big data will drive the biotech innovation. So you must have interest in computers, analysis of data, and also it is not, you cannot divorce this big data analysis from biotechnology. So once again, so this again would also mean you must have interest in mathematics, right? So some of these were some of the books. I just wanted to show you the medical biotechnology, like preparing for the future products of biotechnology, modified nucleoside, gene therapy, and all sorts of books being written. So in gene therapy, you see, like cancers, cardiovascular diseases, gene marking, healthy infectious diseases, monogenic diseases, neurological diseases, ocular diseases, others, and so many things, and majority of related to cancer, see? Because many forms of cancer are untreatable, and the hope for us is from gene therapy. So many high level of science and engineering is going in all these diseases which are listed here. For example, hemophilia, okay, or neurological diseases, or some infectious diseases. We have to, take help of biotechnology. So gene therapy, I mentioned to you already how gene therapy is going to help, how the stem cells now containing the treatment of gene are returned to the patient after doing this. So there many times there is a missing gene or there is an extra gene. So gene therapy will be very, very important. So we have in vivo and ex vivo treatments in this. And since we are, burdened with this pandemic, vaccines, people were praying, for scientists and technologists to develop vaccines. And so there are many kinds of vaccines, okay? And we know now this is coronavirus. So look at this. biotechnology with recombinant DNA technology. So you have reverse vaccinology, recombinant subunit vaccination, protein vaccination, DNA vaccination, mRNA vaccination, and this is what Pfizer and Moderna's vaccines. And then you can expand this, right? So in the case of vaccine, I won't go into the detail of the science, but just want to give a flair that, how, vaccine helps in curing the so-called disease. The COVID-19 vaccine, so many were, 184 vaccines were identified, and you have then phase 1 trial, 2, 3, 4, and 4, 5. Now there are about, 5 to 10 different vaccines, and we know because we are using them, right? So look at the COVID vaccine. So imagine this. So biotechnology has played a very important role, whether it is a Pfizer BioNTech or the AstraZeneca or our Bharat Biotech, okay, all those things. And so you can also produce recombinant HB vaccines, okay. So biopharmaceuticals, and the major difference between the chemical and biological drugs, now the biological, as a combination of these two, is going to help humankind. Whatever diseases were not possible to be cured, biotechnology is going to help us, okay? So pharmaceutical discovery, pharmaceutical development, and when it goes to release this, look at the medicinal chemistry, how many different routes and phases are required. So this is going to be the future. And this is where the so-called biosimilar and biosimilar industry is going to, work tremendously. Okay, so I think, this is what I wanted to tell you. So if you choose biotechnology as a career, you need not worry. You may be one of the great scientists. You may have your own industry. You may have a startup company. Jobs will not be a problem. Only thing is that you must know what biotechnology can do for humankind. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an excellent, deep, and futuristic insights in the field of biotechnology. It will definitely guide and help the students in biotechnology engineering career. On the behalf of Department of Biotechnology Engineering, IITs College of Engineering, Kolhapur, I thank our today's honorary guest, Padmashri Professor G.D. Yadav, for such a wonderful session. Have a good day.